Alright, let's go.
Take 4.
What are we doing?
We're just going to talk about in person, do a video in person. Like,
Right.
and just describe how this has went so far.
Alright, no crying?
No crying.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's not a crying thing?
It's not a crying thing.
All right.
Okay.
This is for Becky and Kim and Kathy. I got my Captain Antonil. Okay? Going for you. Or whatever you want to call it.
He's just missing the muskrat love. Anyways.
All right, so the flight here was interesting. The drive from the airport to Rodney Bay was extremely interesting. I had called ahead, arranged for a van for all of our luggage. You saw our luggage in the last episode. And what happened when we got outside the airport?
They had like this little sedan car. There was no way we were gonna all fit, luggage and us, and they don't let you ride in the front seat, so we were pretty sure we were not fitting in the taxi.
Right.
So we had to wait for about 15 to 20 minutes in the heat with all of our luggage while they tried to find a van to come and get us.
So they did. Guy named Albert. Thank you, Albert, for bringing us up the island. So the next part of it was you get in the van and you take off driving, and this one van had the driver, Shelly, and I, and there's 9 passenger Toyota vans in it. There was no room anywhere else other than the passenger seat, which you couldn't take in the front. And this is right-hand drive here, so it's right-hand traffic. And so the drive here was through the jungle, through the mountains, and I wish that we had recorded some of it. I apologize for not. Yeah, you're driving 35, 40, 50 miles an hour, and they're missing people standing on the road by literally, and I'm not exaggerating, 4 to 10 inches. And it's just crazy.
And then passing semis on blind corners,
Yeah.
going uphill.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And there's no speed limit signs. No
Nope.
speed limit. You just go.
If you want to pass somebody, you just lay on the horn and get after it, and everybody just says, "Well, give it your best shot."
Luckily, I was exhausted and I slept through most of the ride.
Yeah. So 2.5 hours later, we showed up at Rodney Bay. They drug all of our stuff onto our boat. We opened our boat, which by now had been closed up for a few days, but really had been sitting uninhabited for a year, and it was in the water. And the first thing we had to do is attack all of the diesel smells. There was a large, strong smell of diesel, and it ended up being just somebody had taken some of the diesel jerry jugs and put them under settees in the hull and were upside down, and so they had dripped some diesel out. There was also one fill hose for the rear tank that had leaked some diesel. So every time we open a bilge compartment or do any work, we clean and scrub the bilge. So it's slowly getting cleaner and less smellier. Well, it's getting less smellier. We're getting more smellier. We've managed to shower each day mostly, and we can. We have a lot of water. Our water will last us a week easy. And probably longer than that if we take care with it. But yeah.
Okay.
What else?
So our first impressions of the boat when we saw it.
Small. Much smaller than the wide angle lens.
Yeah, I mean the actual size, like walking up to it from the dock, I was like, wow, that's a big boat. Like I've never been on a boat that big other than like a ferry. But when I opened the compartmentway, cabin, whatever.
Companionway.
Companionway.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked. It was much smaller than you get from the pictures. So yeah, it was it's very cozy.
We're adjusting though. We're adjusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're adjusting, but it's definitely been a challenge to figure out where you're going to put different things. And
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yep, I have a lot of problems wondering where I'm putting things from now and again and where I've put them. But they're ending up where they need to be. Now, one of the
They're all over the boat. I'm constantly picking up after.
Now, one of the things that's an issue is every time you do a project, it gets off the rails. It gets off the rails in a hurry. There's just not a lot of room anywhere, and so cushions come up. And if you're one of those sailing channels that we watched that tricked us or duped us into doing this, then yeah, that's what happens. You have to take all the cushions up, the wood up, and pretty soon it's a disaster. But other than that, we're making do. The one thing that we do is perpetually bump our heads. We perpetually bump our heads going down the companionway. We perpetually bump our heads going through the walkway to the aft. Yeah.
Oh, going into the dark hole. The
pilot berth on the start.
No, the mechanical.
Oh yeah, the sail locker.
The sail locker.
The dungeon.
Yeah. Every time I have to go in, every time I have to come out, and it's a very small, like you go sideways through the door, so it's kind of hard to like get low enough. The doorway is a lot lower than we are in height.
But that's not the most fun. Once you get in there, there's all kinds of things to bump your head on, poke you, gouge you,
catch your toe in a pan.
Catch your toe. Yeah, I stuck my finger in I heard this noise, so I stuck it under the. I stuck it under the shelf under the generator, and it was a fan, so literally stuck my finger in the fan. But
so
a few digits less, Zoe.
Yeah,
I got him cut off.
Right. So we our first night on the boat. I mean, really, I have to say, like, the first night on the boat, I was so tired. I was exhausted. I just slept. There didn't matter how many speeding motorcycles or loud stereos or
ambulances.
Traffic. Yeah, ambulances went by.
Let me say something on that. The people ride in the dump trucks and the flatbeds, even with material or debris on top. So they'll go get an entire load of whatever in a dump truck, and then there's 5 or 6 guys riding on it, and they're riding up on the headache rack, and they're not like sitting down, they're just casually sitting there, and then we don't know if they fell off and died, but minutes later an ambulance goes whooshing by, so we assume they took a turn and fell off. We don't know.
Well, as you can see, we're not on the J dock anymore.
Yeah.
It was a little too noisy for us. There's a lot of Toyotas on this island. Not the cool kind, Jesse. And they all have some sort of thumping stereo.
Yep.
I mean, they like their music here.
Even the taxi buses have a couple thousand watts of stereo.
So you have those going by. You have guys on motorcycles going Mach 6, popping wheelies. At one point, Rich watched a policeman chasing 3 or 4 of them by. You got the police cars and the ambulances going by. It's
interesting.
It's
so that's lot. Yeah. So we are very happy to be out here in our anchorage, but there's a story behind that too. So we decided that we were going to get the courage up to
motor the boat,
motorboating, go motorboating, and so
which he lies because he told me we were going to motor.
Well, let's get to that later. So just to get out of the slip, before we were done, we had done a complete U-turn in the damn slip with the boat.
Got our first scratch.
Yeah,
pretty good one.
Joyride's got a gouge in her.
But, wouldn't be a Southard rig if it didn't have some sort of dent or scratch.
Right.
So.
And it's like the Gracie, too. It's going to take all of its whiskey licks with Gracie.
And we were quite the entertainment for the marina.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
At the fuel dock, they were watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we managed to, somehow the wind turned us around in our slip and turned us the right way round, and we headed out to sea, which was uneventful. We motored on out to sea.
Until
I decided that I would pull up just set a little smidge of the Solent stay out. But it didn't have both sheets on it. A terrible miscalculation on my part. So I pulled it out about 6 feet and it started flogging me to death. And Shelly's at the helm and
trying to drive the boat. Like for the first time ever. Yep. I know nothing. I don't know what I'm doing.
The farther we get out to sea, we get out there about 2 miles and it's 6-foot seas. For sure.
It was confused. And
taxi buses have a couple thousand watts of stereo.
So you have those going by. You have guys on motorcycles going Mach 6, popping wheelies. At one point, Rich watched a policeman chasing 3 or 4 of them by. You got the police cars and the ambulances going by. It's
interesting.
It's
so that's lot. So we are very happy to be out here in our anchorage, but there's a story behind that too. So we decided that we were going to get the courage up to
motor the boat,
motorboating, go motorboating, and so.
Which he lies, because he told me we were going to motor.
Well, let's get to that later. So just to get out of the slip, before we were done, we had done a complete U-turn in the damn slip with the boat.
Got our first scratch.
Yeah,
pretty good one.
Joyride's got a gouge in her.
But, wouldn't be a Southard rig if it didn't have some sort of dent or scratch.
Right.
So.
And it's like the Gracie, too. It's going to take all of its whiskey licks with Gracie.
And we were quite the entertainment for the marina.
Probably.
Yeah. A lot of at the fuel dock, they were watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we managed to, somehow the wind turned us around in our slip and turned us the right way around, and we headed out to sea, which was uneventful. We motored on out to sea. Until I decided that I would pull up just set a little smidge of the Solent stay out. But it didn't have both sheets on it. A terrible miscalculation on my part. So I pulled it out about 6 feet and it started flogging me to death. And Shelly's at the helm and
trying to drive the boat. Like for the first time ever. Yep. I know nothing. I don't know what I'm doing.
The farther we get out to sea, we get out there about 2 miles and it's 6-foot seas. For sure.
It was confused. And
like bathwater after a bunch of people been jumping in and out of it.
Yep.
And finally we got to where we had to run downwind to release the apparent wind, and we got it rolled back up, but it was a disaster.
And really it was because we weren't prepared. One, we weren't prepared because I didn't know we were going to pull a sail out. So I didn't.
That's the only way I can get you to do anything is to trick you.
I didn't ride Rich's butt to make sure everything was set right.
Yep, I had to trick her into it.
So we shouldn't have pulled it out because it wasn't set up to go to sail. Anyways, what we finally got in, and
we got the sail in.
We decided we were gonna try our hand at anchoring.
Yep. So we motorboated around some more, looked at our anchorings,
and it. Let me explain that it was a windy day. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, we were getting 19 to 24 knots.
It was like 15 to 25 with gusts of like 30. So that's when you're new, probably not a good time to practice this kind of stuff. But we're Southards, so we like to punish ourselves.
Yep.
That's what we do.
We'll give it a try.
So Rich lets me do the steering, and he's gonna
drop the anchor.
So he's giving me hand signals. Everything's going pretty good.
Yeah, unprearranged hand signals. Just your general, I don't know what the hell I'm signaling you, but you should be able to interpret it at any point.
So I have everything going slow.
We spotted our anchorage, right? We spotted our anchorage, and we're riding along. We're pulling up to it, and we know we have to creep this 20-ton boat up to this sand spot, drop the anchor.
And we have to be going at a very, very slow speed.
Yeah, because this thing, once she gets going, it's like the damned Exxon Valdez. Yeah. It just keeps going.
Right. So, as Rich goes to drop the anchor and I go to let off the throttle, then I realize, oh, I need to put it neutral. So I go to put it neutral. All of a sudden, we start swinging around and I start panicking because I think we're going to come over the anchor. And then the steering wheel, the rudder grabs and the steering wheel takes off, rips half of my fingernails
It ripped
off.
3 of your fingernails off. We found one of them today underneath the pinch.
I'm yelling at Rich because I can't get it back into gear and I'm not even sure what gear to get it in, reverse or what.
It only has 2, forward and reverse.
So, but I didn't know if I was supposed to go forward or backwards.
Oh, I thought you were looking for Georgie Overdrive or something.
So then I'm yelling at him, so then luckily he didn't have the anchor dropped far.
So we let the wind blow the bow off and we went out and did a circle back. We circled back. See, Chris, I got that in there. Circle back, just like the White House.
And so this time I was doing the anchor and he was driving. So it went smoothly and we dropped the anchor, but it didn't set, or Rich didn't feel like it set well enough, so he wanted to pull it up and come back and do it again.
Yeah, you got to get your timing in. There's patches of sand and grass here, and you're shooting for the grass, or you're shooting for the sand. And so you needed to move up at the right angle to come to a stop in time to drop the anchor, the right depth down to hit the sand, and then you need to you need to back up on it. So third time was a charm.
And we got our anchor set.
Yeah, we got it set.
But, and we have not moved in 3 days. Our boat is fine, but Rich does not sleep. He's up all night.
I just know we're going to wake up on the rocks.
He's like snuggling with his phone. He's got the anchor alarm on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The boat's doing fine.
But I can sleep during the day.
Yeah, he sleeps during the day. So, anyways, but... so that's, yeah, we're anchored.
Okay.
And I like it much better than at the J-Dock, so. But anyways, so
what happened to your dinghy? You want to talk about your dinghy? What did you do to your dinghy?
So, we got our dinghy blown up. We took it for a ride.
We blew up our dinghy.
The next day,
with air,
Rich decided that he wanted to fit it on the deck of our boat.
I wanted to see how she fit.
It's a 12-foot dinghy, so it doesn't fit. And in the process of hoisting this heavy,
in the wind,
heavy.
No, it's 100 pounds, 100 and a quarter.
It's heavy. I don't care.
It was the wind.
It's heavy.
Anyways, we got it hung on the rail or caught on something. I don't know.
And popped a hole in it.
So the next day, yeah, we had a pontoon that was low, so we had to get out the glue and patch her up. So she's happy now. Yeah. Hadn't been in the water for 24 hours and it got its first couple of patches. So live and learn, though. That's what you do. You live and you learn.
So yeah, we learned that it's not going to go on the deck of the boat unless we take all the air out of it. So it hangs off the back of the...
Yeah, it hangs on the poop deck.
Yeah, that's for you, Becky. But our first week of quarantine, well, let's talk about some of the jobs that we've had to do. So the very first thing we had to do was Rich had to fix the toilet.
Shitter was clogged. It wasn't really clogged,
work.
It was unclogged.
And here's the problem. We're in quarantine, so we can't go use a bathroom at the marina.
So
it's all we have. And we're on a dock in the middle of the marina, so it's not like, you're gonna like jump off the boat and go swim.
Yeah,
and go
so I was
bathroom.
working on the crapper under extreme duress from several ends.
Yeah, so that took many
2 days
phone
total.
calls to the
Chandlerly
store here for parts, which is a disaster and expensive. It's very costly to buy anything here, and so yeah, that was one thing. And then provisioning, trying to get groceries, that's another thing. So you have to call or you WhatsApp a list to somebody, I don't know who she is, and then some young boys do our shopping for us, and then they bring us the groceries, and you get 3 grocery bags and you pay about $270. Luckily not US.
US?
So
US.
anyways, but
BC?
you have to be like very descriptive on what you want. Like I asked for milk and they said they didn't have any. Well, they have it, but you have to tell them you want cow's milk and it comes in just a small carton, and it's non-refrigerable. Is that how you say that?
It doesn't need to be refrigerated.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be refrigerated, but who wants to drink warm whole milk? So I refrigerate it. But and then we found another place called Pack-A-Barrel, and that
we thought was our savior.
Was this great thing because it comes through the States. It's ran out of New York and stuff.
Yeah, conceptually it's nice.
And the idea of it is great. You go on there and they give you, it's IGA brand, they give you a list of different things to select from, and so you do, but when it comes down to it, it's not an IGA store here. And the gentleman calls, he spent 2 hours with Rich on the phone while he shopped.
It was horrible.
We couldn't, and we'd already paid.
You know, bless his
for
heart.
The groceries
Mr. McVern, Mr. McVern, if you're out there, bless your heart.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
It wasn't, but Mr. McVern was hard to understand, and maybe I was hard to understand for him as well. But he talked like the guy on Waterworld who came to Kevin Costner's boat and wanted to trade some paper. He talked like that, but he talked really fast. So before the 2 hours was done, I was talking like him. Shelley said I had to stop. It was some gibberish.
But so then we'd already paid for our groceries.
Online.
And we paid a lot. And then when it came time for him to go shopping, we didn't get what was on our list because he didn't have it.
Yeah, we ordered a ribeye steak and got an eye of the round. But we paid for a ribeye steak.
Right,
so we got some issues there.
So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend Pack-A-Barrel unless you were in the States and you knew for a fact that you were getting...
What you were getting. Yeah,
so,
the concept is great. And don't get me wrong, we're loaded with some decent food, but, you know, part of it is we're used to being in America, where the land of milk and honey, where you can get so many groceries.
This is definitely a lesson learned about the things we take for granted living in the States. There's so many things I know that I have bitched about the last few years about Walmart or this or that or whatever, but when it comes down to it,
that's right.
I would be more than happy to go back.
So if you're ROCKing in the USA.
So, yeah. It just is difficult here to just get what you want. And so anyways, how are we doing our first week in quarantine?
We're doing all right. We're way past, it's Friday now, so
now.
We're like 75% of the way through, and I feel that we're cruising.
We're on our 10th day now.
Yeah.
But I would have to say by day 7, being stuck on the boat, on the J-Dock.
I was about to kill her.
Shut up, you were not.
Just kidding.
I was starting to miss a lot. Like I was starting to feel that low because you can't walk, you can't do anything.
Dock.
Ooh, what is that? 30 feet?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We could play sitting on the dock of the bay.
Okay,
watching
can you just
the time roll
do this
away.
and
2,000 miles they roam.
I'm not going to do these
just
with
to make this dock
if
my
you're
home.
Gonna do it.
Okay, go. Sorry,
Jeez.
Little diversion there.
This is all getting edited out.
You bet me.
Yeah, it is.
What else? Provisioning, motorboating. Yeah, we're doing good. I want to tell you one last story. We found this anchor in this cabinet, in the propane cabinet. So I don't know if you noticed in the video, we had our gigantic Dufour. I think it's a Dufour. Whatever. This giant anchor. It's the stern anchor for our boat, for our sailboat. So we're using that as a dinghy anchor. It doesn't matter where you throw it. It hits the bottom and your dinghy ain't moving. So, but it's so big and clunky to put in our little inflatable. So we found this little zipped up tethered bag that had a dinghy anchor in, a really nice one. And so we put it in the boat. We went out yesterday to do some diving. I tied one end of the rope to the anchor chain and hooked the anchor to the anchor chain.
No. You hooked the chain to the anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a rope.
There's a rope. Weaved through the chain.
Weaved through the chain.
So Rich said tie it to the boat. So I did. I tied the rope to the boat. Then when we got to where we wanted to do our snorkeling, he said throw it over. So I did. But the rope was just weaved through the chain. It wasn't attached. So the chain just kept going.
So we literally threw our newly found anchor overboard.
So then it's windy. We got to come back to the big boat, get the other gigantic anchor, and then try to remember exactly where it was that we dropped that anchor, and anchor there, and then
snorkel
around until we found it. And we did. We found it.
Yeah, well,
We
Eagle
saved
Eye
it.
found it, and we dove down and got it. And if you've ever dove down to the bottom and then tried to carry the chain back up, that's also another little trick into itself. But we got it done.
But we got it done.
Yeah.
And we found it.
So we are having adventures.
Yeah. And so then
That's it.
weather's been,
It's windier than we would like.
Windy.
I mean, if we were sailing, we would have all kinds of wind. Shit, we could sail all the way to. Well, excuse my language. If we were sailing, we could sail all the way to the States on this wind, and we would be hauling. But we're needing to do some baby step practicing, and it's a little bit too windy for that. And it rains, but it's not rained as much this week as it did last week.
Our very first rainstorm was our very first dinghy ride. Rich decided he wanted to go.
Best way to get a
And
shower.
Holy smokes! I was wetter from the rainstorm than I was from swimming.
Yep.
But my hair was softer than it's been in.
I've
a
been
million
telling her
years.
for years.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Rainwater's the way to wash your hair, but she doesn't believe me because she's a cosmetologist.
So now that we're anchored out here, we have to go in every morning at 9 o'clock. We have to be at the dinghy dock so they can take our temperature while we're in quarantine.
Yeah.
So the other morning we went, and then after she came and took our temperature, Rich was going to order a few things for the boat, a fishing pole and some different things.
Oh, excuse me.
So our dinghy is not like other people's dinghies. It's kind of a new style that's out there, and so
It's catamaran
we had many
style.
people that
Take
were
a cat.
curious about our dinghy. So we met quite a few cruisers
Yeah.
just sitting there at the dock. Very nice people. I really am liking this community. But 2 out of the 3 different people that we met, or couples, whatever, are just like us. They are new at it, never done it, decided they wanted to do it, sold everything and bought a boat, and
Yeah.
one couple just sailed across the Atlantic,
Yeah, that's the 4-year-old.
totally unexperienced. No, that older couple.
Oh, the older couple.
Yeah. The younger couple with the 4-year-olds
They sailed
going
from the
to
Netherlands,
yeah,
but they came from the Netherlands.
but they're gonna sail across. Yeah.
He is single solo.
But anyways, so yeah, it's
Yeah, you get to talking to a lot of people.
we met some really nice people that are more than willing to come and help or show us or do whatever as soon as we're out of quarantine. So that's kind of good to know, because I'm all about somebody showing us what the hell we're doing.
I'm all about figuring it out as you go.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna know how a bee stings until
But
it
we
stings
know how
you.
that's how went for us so far.
I mean, you could see the bee, you can see the stinger, but you're not gonna realize it until the stinger stings you.
Should have seen us the day that we tried to figure out how to hang the dinghy from the back of the boat.
Yeah.
That was entertaining.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell we were new at it.
But you know what? You can only be new once at something. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
get
just
that out of
figure
the
we'll
way.
look back at this someday and it'll all be funny and we'll be good at all this and stuff. But until then, yeah, we don't have a clue.
Yeah.
So it's just
That's
a
basically it. Shout out to Zoe. She FaceTimed us today. Thank you very much, Zoe. We love you.
And she liked our video.
She liked our video. We see our episode 6 came up. I know it's not a super